Bada bing, bada boom. Welcome back. Um, the name of the game is Volohin, Winds of War. The name of this episode, episode 14, is Eight of Swords. And honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think this is gonna be the last session. Uh,
Okay.
been kind of a short episode, but that's just the way it goes sometimes when you don't really think about pacing as a dungeon master very well.
Yeah.
Sometimes funky things happen like this. So
It's also been, a lot has happened
certainly,
uh in our normal lives and all that stuff. Like it might be a short episode, but it's still taken a long, like the same amount of 8-week process.
yeah, it's been kind of a kooky time, and I'm sure it's been a kooky time for a lot of you out there. And thanks for sticking through it with us, for sure.
Yeah.
So, so when we last left our characters, I think just about everyone, except for Senna, because Senna is sulking somewhere else. Just about everyone else has gathered in Eigner's house. There is some stew being cooked. There is whiskey being poured. And everyone's just kind of waiting around to see if Eigner's going to wake up. And Eridu and Leah have been talking with each other, trying to make sense of what do they do now, you know? So we're gonna zoom back in into Eigner's little abode and go.
Um, okay. So I think Ellie's been getting like more and more like she's very like tensed jaw and like gritting her teeth, and she's like pretty much back at her level of like pissed off. But it's not so much like overly like exploding pissed off. It's just like she's tense. She's kind of annoyed. Um, and then all this talk about Eridu having ticks inside him is like pushing her more and more because it's so much like Eigner being possessed by something. So it's kind of like this thing is like ramping up of people having, and then the whole like Rue has a weird connection to Eridu, and she's just like starting to feel like too many people having too many other people inside their brains. So she's just gonna suddenly like stand up. She passes a sending stone to Emily, and says, "If he wakes up, let me know. I'm not gonna be long." And then turn to Rue and say, "Rue, can you help me with something?"
I was already planning on coming with you.
Excellent.
E-
And oh, go on.
Emily takes the sending stone and gives you a very serious look and a nod, and she says, "Of course, I will contact you right away."
Thank you.
Rue has been, expertly dicing these potatoes in this very specific way, and then he hands them over to Alan and says, "Now, Alan, you take it from here, and remember the technique I taught you. It is not that complicated." And then Rue really quickly just like a little thing, which is very complicated if you're not a human. It says just like that.
This is fantastic, Rue. I will do my best to replicate exactly what you did. Hmm.
Yes, yes, you will.
All
Um,
right.
I'm gonna march just out of the house,
Rue
presuming
is
Rue's
following.
following.
He is
And
going to
I'm
march as well because that
good.
seems the appropriate amount of.
We look very serious.
Right.
I'd like to go to the shrine to Urana.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know if I specifically know where that is, but I'll find it.
Yeah, I mean it's really not very far away, and you've probably seen Leah and Senna going in that direction before, so you have an idea where it is. You walk through the tree line and quickly come across the clearing, at the center of which there is a stump, a tree stump in the middle of the clearing, and at some point long ago, Eigner has carved and whittled the stump into being very into a shape that's reminiscent of what his holy symbol of Urana looks like, which is also a hand-carved disc. And I think I've talked about this before, but essentially the holy symbol looks like a bunch of spider legs that are overlapped on one another, going in this very complicated spiral pattern. The spider legs just curled on top of one another. So the entire stump looks like that. And as you come through the clearing, come through the tree line, you see this light playing in the distance, and then as you come into the clearing itself, you see that the stump is on fire, and Senna is sitting cross-legged in front of the stump, staring deeply into the flames.
Okay, I'll walk up and just stop next to her and not actually look at her and say, why is it on fire?
Because I felt like burning it.
Rue
Why?
will walk up and put his hands out, you know, like he's seen people do around fires. That is a sensible thing to do. Fires provide warmth. You must have been cold.
She just, I don't know, she chuckles a little bit and says, "Yes, I was cold. Yes, that's exactly why."
Why did you?
She looks up at you and gives you this stare and just says, "Because I'm angry. And sometimes when I'm angry, I burn things." Is that so complicated to understand?
Are you angry because of something Eridu did? I noticed that he attempted to choke you. That did not seem right.
Eridu did not try to choke me. Tix tried to choke me.
Yes, that is. I understand what it is like to have two people inside of one head. I don't think there's enough space inside of a head for two people. I believe that Eridu is going to have some severe problems ahead of him.
To say the least. It has become a very troubling trend as of late. People being inside each other's heads, as it were.
Yes, Eigner seems to have had that happen. I also had an Eridu inside of my head at some point. Do you have two people inside of your head, or are you one?
I am just fine. I am just me. Thank you for checking, however.
Ah. I'm going to detect magic, just because that seems to be a thing Rue does often.
Okay.
Does she appear magic?
Yeah, actually, she does.
Okay.
She
I'm
d-
not going to look at the school, just seeing the aura of magic coming off of her.
You see a rather intense aura coming off of her, and it's actually kind of like radiating from her, kind of like when you look at like really hot pavement and you see like waves of heat kind of like manipulating the your view.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like that. You see like waves of magic just radiating off of her to match her anger that is radiating off of her.
I'm just going to take that in, and I'm going to let Ellie do some question asking too.
Can I tell when Rose cast that spell?
Yes, actually, there's a tell when he casts it,
Hmm.
and I will look it up real fast because it's on here.
Hmm.
Detect magic. You cast the detect magic spell without using a spell slot or components. Constitution is my spellcasting ability. I faintly glow a color um, responding to the school of magic that I detect. So I actually do, I guess, have to detect the school of magic.
Hmm.
but only in the sense that like I radiate a glow that is sort of um is an example of the magic, I guess.
For sure. So what color you end up glowing is actually like a lot of them. You radiate at least 8 different colors, but it's not so much like you're shining rainbow light or whatever. It's more like the glow is constantly shifting throughout the color spectrum. It's kind of like hitting all of them in this kind of way.
Cool.
Um, so then, since I know he's cast it, I'm gonna say, Rue, is there magic on the shrine?
Is there?
There is at the very base of the flame. There's like this little nugget of evocation magic. Evocation being the school of magic that usually like the fireball spell is an evocation spell. It brings this energy just directly into the material plane. So yeah, you're kind of picking up that there's just this little tiny little nugget of magic right in the center of the flame that's keeping this whole thing burning. But the wood itself that is burning, that's not necessarily magical. The fire itself, as soon as it's summoned and starts to catch the wood, that is more of like a natural thing. Um, but yeah, there is that tiny little grain of evocation magic that is burning bright and keeping the whole thing lit. It's so lit, fam. Fam, it is so lit.
Okay. I mean, I kind of needed Rue for this next bit. That's fine.
For
I'll
sure.
just keep talking to Senna. Okay, I'll ask her. Do you know a way to stop her from coming back here, or at least to protect this area from her?
Stop a deity?
Yep.
I'm not sure if you're going to have a lot of luck with that, my dear. We can do something. We can. There are ways of placing magical wards. I know that Leovan, in particular, has experience doing just that, but he was guarding against a lot of crafty drow. Powerful drow at that, but still just regular old drow. Trying to guard this area against a deity. We can do what we can, but I can't make you any promises. The power that Urana has is unlike anything that you've probably come up against.
She really seems so tough to me.
I mean, she was merely in Eigner's body. She was about as tough as Eigner is, I suppose. I don't know. If she ever comes back, she may take her true form instead.
Easier to kill her. Can't kill her in Agnes' body. I hope she comes back in her true form.
She just kind of laughs at you and says, "So idealistic, my child." Excuse me. You have a lot of confidence in yourself. I'll say that much.
Would the Hallow spell do anything?
Perhaps, perhaps that is some powerful magic, indeed.
I know that Agnes' sword can do that, but I don't know if he needs to be attuned to it or not.
It's worth
Soul's
it.
Blade attunable?
Are you asking me as the dungeon master?
Yeah.
I don't know if we really kind of set that. It's like there's never really been a situation where someone else has like needed to use the Hallow spell on Talon's Blade. And when Drew gave it to me, I don't know if I really asked if you have to attune it or whatnot. I just never really thought to ask that. But
Okay.
not Urana, sorry, Senna. That's who I meant to say. Senna will just give you a sideways glare and say it's anything's worth trying, I suppose.
Okay. Well, I didn't bring a sword. Maybe I'll come back with it later. Unfortunately, it seems that you've half beaten me to what I came here to do.
You're
And
welcome.
this is where, if he was here, Ellie would basically is going to turn to Rue and tell him to, like, absolutely destroy it. I don't want even the slightest bit of it to be there. I don't want it to even be in a state where the mending spell could repair it.
Damn.
And maybe the fire will help. The fire will burn away the splinters.
You going total war on this bitch. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Alright. Rue, I believe I can speak for Rue when he says, yes, I will destroy the fire. I will destroy the shrine. He just says something very simple and looks like very serious about what he's about to do. Senna, seeing what is about to happen, quickly gets up and backs away to let Rue do his thing. And Rue goes to town and just starts punching it. The fire's been going for a little while, so the wood has become compromised. And with his first punch, Rue actually gets right to the heart of where that little nugget of magic, the little evocation magic, was inside there, and he just completely dispels the thing causing the flame. And then as he continues to punch and splinter, embers are flying off, little chunks of burning wood are flying off into the grass, lighting little bits here and there. I'm sorry, is that, I was going to check Asa's thing. Okay, Asa's going to try and get back in. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. But while Asa is trying to get back into the game, I will keep describing Rue punching the stump, and eventually he punches all the parts away that were on fire, and it's getting down to just like the very bottom part of the stump where it's just plain wood, and he keeps punching, and dust and chips are flying everywhere, and he gets down to the very base of the stump, and then with a loud Rue just gets into it. He works himself up so much that he flies into a full-on rage, and Senna is just standing back, looking at Rue in a very bemused fashion. And Rue just gets so angry that he reaches down, both warforged hands digging into the earth around the stump, and there's a grunt and a scraping of metal as his joints strain, and then an enormous ripping sound as he just pulls the entire stump out of the ground. And he throws it back down on the ground and just keeps punching it into splinters.
Sorry about that. My internet got unplugged.
That's all good, Asa. I was just describing how Rue was destroying the shrine to Urana.
Because it was magic.
Because I told you to.
Yeah.
And he's gonna punch the magic out of it.
Yeah. That's essentially what he did.
Cool.
And then I'm gonna walk over to it, and I'm just gonna spit on the ground where it was, and say, "How's that for a whisper?" And then I'm gonna turn around and walk away.
drop the mic. Ellie, dropping the mic. I love it.
And I walk back to the house.
And you walk back to the house. As you're getting just outside of the clearing, and Senna also has decided to stay back. She doesn't really say much of anything as you and Rue make your exit. Um, but yeah, as you just get out of the tree line, the sending stone grows warm in your pocket.
I pick it up.
He's moving.
I break into a sprint. Back to the house.
All right. Rue and Ellie get back into the house to see Eigner stirring on the bed. His head's just going back and forth, and there's a low groan coming out of him. And as Ellie gets closer to the bed, Eigner's eyes finally flutter open, and he just looks like he's got a massive hangover or something. He looks like so out of it. And seeing Ellie for the first time in a while, he just says, did I get the boar?
Oh, buddy.
I like that. I like pat him on the shoulder.
Did I get it?
And then
Yeah.
Eridu is gonna say, "Hello, Eigner."
What? What? And he looks over and sees Eridu all fucked up with the bark on his face.
I'm just gonna clarify. He's not seeing it, right? He's not suddenly like.
Oh,
no,
no,
actually
no,
seeing.
oh no, oh
I'm
no, sorry.
just making sure that he's not like Kieran left him with his eyes or anything.
Oh no, that would be too kind.
That's true.
That'd be too kind. He turns in the direction of Eridu's voice and says, "Eridu? What's going on? What?"
Just
It's a long story.
got a lot to tell you.
I mean, did I get the boar though?
No.
That's too bad.
Rue pats his shoulder. It is okay. We can go out again tomorrow.
Okay, I hope I feel better by then. I've got a massive headache right now.
You need food. Alan,
That's when Alan says, "I've been waiting for just this moment," and he brings over a bowl of stew and says, "Please, Eigner, I think you haven't had anything to eat in a while, and please, have some." Eigner sits up in his bed very weakly with one hand, finds Alan's hand, takes the bowl from him, and takes the spoon and just gently has a little bit of sip of broth, and then coughs like okay, and gingerly has a bite or two of the stew.
Leah puts her hand on Eridu and says, "You should go to him and talk to him if you need to. I'll be fine here." And then she just kind of slumps against the wall, waiting for the headache to pass.
Eridu's kind of torn between friend and sister. And then stands up and walks over to Eigner.
As Eridu starts to walk over, I'm gonna stand up and stand directly in front of him. And kind of frown and shake my head ever so slightly and then gesture to go outside. As in, like, together, not like me and leave the room.
I know.
Like,
Eridu will just give a deep sigh and then nod and then start to walk towards the door.
Looking outside. So still with like folded arms, super frown, really bad mood. I'm gonna say, look, I don't really know where to start with this. I don't want to. If we tell him everything too quickly and too much, it's going to be way too overwhelming for him. We have to be careful with this because we have to pull him away from basically his whole belief system. And as far as he knows, he's been dealing with you being dead. Or he didn't think you were dead, but that's what he was dealing with, grief. And now we find you in the Feywild where he doesn't know where we've been, while he's been possessed by a god he thought that was doing good for him, and you're now this, whatever this is too much.
You're right. It is too much. It is too much for me to handle. It is too much for Eigner to handle. It is too much for Leah and you to handle. Rue, I think, can do okay.
Rue's gonna be fine, really.
But together, I think we can all handle it. And we should make sure we put all of the weight of this on Hillowfax. No, you're right. Though, I don't think he would know how to process the betrayal of Urana. But where do we begin?
I don't know.
Maybe just that I'm back, and that Tix is at bay.
But then he's gonna need to know how you're back. And I don't really want to lie to him.
We can tell him his god helped.
I don't want him to think the god helped.
Well,
Did she though? Did she help?
No.
Sorry. I'll shut up. I'll shut up. Keep going.
Erida's comment was, well, in a way she did. Though it was for her own means. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her bringing you all into the Feywild.
I mean, neither would Tix, so.
Damn.
You can only blame me for that. I'm the one who absorbed his essence.
She took us to him.
Then in doing so, you found me.
She brought
No.
you back.
This is also true. She could have left me there.
We're gonna have to tell him the truth. We're gonna have to. Yeah. I guess we'll just start from the beginning. He's a
Maybe-
big boy, right?
Maybe we give him a little
Mine.
bit of whiskey or something to help him with the processing.
Okay. Well, I suppose there's no time like the present. We're gonna go back in.
All right.
Okay. As you walk inside, Eigner seems to have gathered a little bit more strength. He's eating larger and larger spoonfuls of stew. He makes a little comment about how the potatoes are cut very well, and then he says out loud to no one in particular, "Does anyone care to explain to me why Eridu is here? I mean, first of all, I'd like to say that I was right the whole time, and I think Ellie was being a bit of a negative person when she was trying to tell me that Eridu was dead. I knew the whole time that he was alive, and he was doing just fine. But still, I don't understand how he's here."
I think that's a bit of an unfair assessment. Ellie had her reasons to believe that I was dead. I, after all, disappeared with the bomb. It was entirely my intention to be dead. I didn't think I'd find a way to survive.
You've always found
Ticks.
a way. Wait, what
I
about
know.
wait, what about ticks?
I didn't think I'd be able to survive. I took the bomb to the Feywild, to Ticks.
Oh. Um yeah, he can't have been happy about that.
Well, my plan didn't work. I had hoped it would explode.
Okay. All right.
It did not. He was able to withhold its power, and I found myself trapped in the Feywild with a Feylord quite perturbed with me.
Uh-huh. But obviously you found a way out of it. I mean, because you're great. You're resourceful. I mean, you've always been like that, Eridu. I mean,
Eigner, you should probably sit back. Maybe have a drink of this.
oh,
This is a long story.
oh, please, please, yes, give me that, give me that. And he takes the bottle of whiskey and gives a little sip, and then gives another cough. Oh, oh yeah, this is the private stock, isn't it? Alan, you're brilliant. He Egner seems to be becoming more and more his old self. He's more and more being in high spirits and seems to be taking the fact that Eridu's here like surprisingly well. You know, he's taken the whole tack of like, oh yeah, I was right all along. Duh. Like obviously, um, yeah. So long story, huh? Long story, huh? I mean, I just want to know how you found your way out of the Feywild. I mean, but it stands to reason that if you found a way there, then it must have been pretty easy for you to just find your way back. Yeah.
I'm gonna look at Ellie and then kind of mouth, I'm sorry. And then I'm going to say, well, your goddess came to me, and she led me out. But in doing so, she showed me things that things that you likely would like to have kept private, things that I know you are ashamed of. She attempted to turn me against you and make me feel as though you had done deplorable and terrible things. I don't think Urana is who you think she is. The Feywild has a way of revealing someone.
I don't quite understand what you're getting at. And also, I wanted you to make a deception roll,
Mhm.
not because you're actually lying necessarily, but you're doing it in this way where it's like you're omitting the
Yes, lots
the
of facts.
lots of stuff that's involved with this. So I mean,
I,
like,
I decided that since Leah didn't want to lie to him, Eridu would.
yeah,
The Ellie didn't want to lie to him.
Yeah, Ellie,
yeah,
sorry.
for sure.
Yeah. Speaking of Leah, though, from where she's slumped against the wall, there is a very strong feeling coming out of. She is upset with Eridu, and she does not think this is the right choice. And I don't know. There's got to be like something permeating the air that's just like you're wrong,
Hmm.
essentially.
It's 15. If you would like me to, well, there to be an effect with Leah where you get an advantage or I get a disadvantage to this deception.
Oh, don't, believe me, I've taken care of it.
Oh, good deal, good deal. All right, yeah, it's a 15 in total.
Egner, like all sense of like happiness drains from Egner's face, and he furrows his brow and says, Eridu, there's something you're not telling me.
I'm gonna frown and look at Eridu and then say, yeah, there's a lot he's not telling you.
What the hell happened?
Your goddess is a person named Jaro. And she used your body to get into the Feywild. And she took the rest of us with her.
Well, first of all, her name's Urana. She told me so. And second of all, she inhabited my body?
Yes, that is why you didn't catch the boar. At least that's the assumption I'm going to make. I wasn't there.
So that's true.
Okay. So she took me and you all into the Feywild and showed you things? What did she show you?
Understand that she is a goddess of deceit. That is why she told you a name that is not her well-known name. And what she showed us may not have been true, I don't know. They were parts of your past. Of the things you did when you were a paladin. Or were part of.
Eigner's eyes go wide and he stutters something. He tries to get words out, but he just keeps stuttering. With the and then you see his hand on the bowl of stew start to grip the bowl tighter and tighter. Veins start popping out of his hand, and then in a growling voice he just says, "No, no, no, no," and then boom, fucking throws the bowl of stew. Miraculously, because he can't see, he throws the bowl of stew right through his window. And there's a shatter of glass that kind of bums everyone out, to be honest. Alan goes, "Ugh," and Hillowfax says, "Oh, wait, I can fix that." And, and but yeah, it's a tense moment. And Eigner turns on you all and says, "What did you see?"
I'm gonna say Leah doesn't say anything because she's letting you two say something, but there is what is filling the room right now is just compassion. That is what she's feeling right now, and that's what's coming out from her. So act accordingly, I guess.
Eigner doesn't feel compassion at the moment because he's too clouded, but
Feels.
eventually he might pick up those feels.
I'll look at Eridu for him to explain what she knows.
Nothing that changes my opinion of you.
Well, you already knew. They didn't.
I knew you regretted your past. I didn't know why. And I didn't feel the need to ever ask. It wasn't my business. I'm sorry that there is no time for delicacy in this situation. Because if you continue to follow Jaro, you will make the same choices. Or at least you will be put in a position to make the same choices, and I know you don't want to do that.
No, I don't. I still don't understand why she thought it was a good idea to show you any of that. You can see Eigner start to breathe faster and start to enter this full-on panic mode, and he in a fit of anxiety he gets up from the bed, takes the bottle of whiskey, and says, I just need to get out of here. Excuse me." And then he goes to walk towards the door. I mean, someone could easily stop him, but he's kind of in this freak out mode.
Well, I'm gonna let him go and then give him like a couple minutes, and then I'm gonna, unless someone else wants to do something, follow him on my own.
Well, as he exits, Leah will put a hand out, maybe touch his arm or something, and say, "Take what time you need. I understand you, and I would like to talk to you sometime in the future." And she's also putting that compassion out there, that and that sense of you're not in this alone. And then she'll drop the hand and let him go.
The way he reacts is very strange because it's like you're getting this truly mixed signal from him, where at first he like seems to embrace the compassionate touch. It's like you feel that kind of reception of the compassion, but then very quickly it turns and he recoils from you and just growls, "You understand nothing."
Oh, she recognizes that, all right. She'll
Yeah.
drop the hand and let him go.
Eigner reaches the door and just kicks it open unceremoniously, and walks out into the fading daylight.
As he leaves, Rue looks at everyone and says, "Well, that did not go well. You probably shouldn't have lied so much, Eridu."
Yeah, Eridu. What happened to the truth?
I was hoping to reveal it in time to let him process a little bit here and there.
That's not what we talked about outside.
Yes, you said you didn't want to lie to him, so I thought that I would.
There was no way that could have gone well in any shape, but
No.
lying would only make it worse.
Yes, maybe. In the end, he still got the whole truth, so...
Did he get the ticks bit yet? Did we tell him the ticks and Eridu bit? I can't remember if that was
No.
said.
Not that bit.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we're like,
he knew that
maybe-
Tix was involved, but he doesn't really. Yeah, he doesn't
It-
have a lot
yeah.
of the details still.
He was focused more on Urana and her visions that she gave us.
so I'll just say, yeah, well, not the whole truth yet. But, you know, well, at least he can't see. No offense, Eridu. But,
My condition is less of a concern to me than his goddess and his past. He'll come to terms with this soon enough.
I'll sigh and then stand, I don't know, probably already stood up. And then say, well, I'll go and find him. And then I'm gonna walk out after him.
Alright?
Leah will ask, Eridu, do you want to go talk to him?
I will in time.
Okay.
I think Ellie will be more helpful now.
All right.
As Ellie walks outside, she sees that Eigner is really not that far away. He has walked over to one of the edges of the hill, the one that is overlooking Twin Harbor, and he is sitting, and as Ellie lays eyes on him, he is in the midst of a big ol' swig out of the bottle of whiskey.
Gonna walk up sort of behind him. Fancy sharing that?
Without a word, he lifts it up to you.
Take it and I'll take a drink. Can I sit?
Do whatever you want.
Sit down next to her. Stay quiet for like a minute or so. Pass him the bottle.
He takes another huge swig, coughs a bit, and then says, "No one was supposed to see that. No one was supposed to know that. That, whatever you saw, I can only assume the worst, but whatever you saw is my greatest shame, the darkest time of my life. I've been running from it ever since. And I was foolish to think that I had escaped it. Always a fool, Eigner. Always a fool."
I, like Eridu said, it's the same for me. What she showed us and what we saw in there, it doesn't matter to me.
It should.
Why?
It really should, because it was evil. It, to put it not very elegantly, it was fucked up. I ran away from it. Literally, I ran away from it. I was caught, and I was put on trial. I answered for my crimes in that way. And the way it was resolved was just with money, with worthless gold. 1,572 gold pieces. As if somehow that would make up for all of the pain, all that suffering. But I've been paying for it still, and it just doesn't seem like enough.
You know, I don't think that decisions or actions that we make labels us as who we are forever. I think that a person who did bad things, or as you call it, evil things, in the past, they're not always evil from then on. I think we can do good things in the future, and that balances it out, you know? Just as much as someone who has done good their entire lives can then turn around and do something bad, like can do the worst possible thing. I think it's about who you choose to be now is what matters. And you know what? I don't see a bad guy here. I don't see an evil person. To be honest, I mean, I see a hero. I see the person that I used to write stories to my brother about. I see the person that I named my owlbear after. I see the whole reason that I even started to study the Battlesmith line of artificery. You're our strength, Eigner. You're our inspiration. You're the whole reason that this team is together. We wouldn't be anything if you weren't in this team. No attack would go smoothly or to plan if you weren't here telling us how to go about it. you don't need the world's forgiveness. You don't need our forgiveness. You don't need me. You don't need me to forgive you. You just need to start forgiving yourself. You need to see that what you did then, it doesn't matter. And Eigner, you need to start seeing how you're strong again, because that god, whatever she was, she used a weakness in you to control you. She thought she knew you because she saw your flaws, but she was wrong. Those aren't your flaws at all. They're your greatest strengths. They're what keeps you fighting for what is right and for what is good. They're why you help people and why you've saved your friends over and over and over again. You just need to see that.
By this point, Eigner is openly crying. Openly, tears are streaming down his face, getting into his beard. And he goes for another sip of the whiskey and says, Ellie, I appreciate what you're doing. I really do. And you're right that I don't need your forgiveness or all of that. Frankly, I feel like there's no forgiveness possible for me. And I hate to disagree with you. But it's not that it didn't matter. I don't think there's any amount of good things that I can do to somehow balance out all of the bad. It happened. It happened. It was real. And there's nothing I can do to change that. Now, I'll admit, I haven't been dealing with it in a very good way. He gently shakes the bottle of whiskey, and there's a sloshing in the bottle. I haven't been dealing with it very well. I appreciate that you think that I'm a hero. I appreciate that you think that I'm doing all of these great things. But I'm just getting by. I'm just getting by. I'm just trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out how to make up for it, how to atone. But as I keep going, I really think that there's no way that that's possible. And as far as Urana is concerned, I know obviously you all didn't have a great interaction with her. I can't imagine what that was like to be actually talking to her. In my body, that's actually very, very strange to think about. But what she tells me makes sense. For some reason. I can't explain why. But it just makes sense to me.
She tells you what she thinks that you want to hear in those moments when you're feeling your worst. She tries to act like she has your best interests at heart, but all she's doing is looking out for herself. If she wasn't just looking out for herself, would she drag us and your body across the Feywild and show us all the things that you try to keep from everybody, that you are the things you're most ashamed of? Would she show that to your friends and try to push them away from you?
I don't know why she did what she did. I mean, but isn't that the whole idea of deities? Their way of being is beyond our comprehension as mere mortals. look, I don't know. And I'm completely open to the possibility of having made a mistake in who I trust with as far as deities go, because obviously, as you saw, I've made that mistake before in my life. And realizing that I'm here once again is just a little too much for me to bear. And I don't know what to do. I honestly don't. I do not know how to move forward.
You move forward with your friends and with us, and we've still got a lot of other things to deal with. And you continuing this relationship with Urana isn't going to help any of us. Eigner, we need you to stop. You can't let her come back.
How much control do you really think I have here with her? As
She
far
uses your weakness. You need to stop concentrating on those things. Stop talking to her.
he looks a little confused, honestly. Look, as far as I was concerned, we were still on the boar hunt. I I don't know if I can control her at all. I mean, come on, she's a deity, but I hear what you're saying. I mean, I feel betrayed by her. I absolutely do.
Well, good. You should do.
But you know, the more I think about it, it makes sense. I had no place to be hiding my past from you all. You needed to know.
That was your choice to make, not some god, apparently. Although, if you ask me, she wasn't very godlike.
If you say so, if you say so, I never would have had the strength to tell you.
But you didn't need to tell us. Like, you, like, justifying her methods is worrying me. Look, I'm just gonna put it like this, Eigner. She isn't coming back. I'm not letting her come back, and I made that very, very clear to her over and over again. Me and her didn't have the best of relationships while she was here. Let's put it like that.
I imagine not.
I apologize for spitting in your face, by the way.
You did what? He like gently touches his beard at his face and
Oh, don't worry,
Right.
she licked it off.
what?
Yes, exactly.
I feel like there's some more things that you all haven't told me yet.
Long story short, she's a very unpleasant woman who is no longer welcome here. Myself and Rue and Senna have we destroyed the shrine.
His eyebrows shoot up.
This is not her land anymore.
Okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Don't be making any more of them.
I suppose I won't, because then you might just destroy it again. I mean, yeah, it seems like it'd be a worthless exercise, truly. Truly.
There is more that we need to tell you, but it's a lot to take in, and it's probably not my information to tell. You're gonna need to talk to Iridu at some point.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, I can do that. He
Um,
can I ask you something about Eridu? He sounded different, and I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it. Um, but there was something strange that I was hearing when Eridu was talking to me.
yep, sounds about right.
A look of concern goes over Eigner's face. Did he do something stupid again?
You could say that. Yeah, we'll work it out.
Yeah, we always do.
And then I'll be quiet for like a little bit, and then a little like softer this time. Quite so like scolding parent. Like turn to look at him again and say, I was really worried about you though.
You're always worried about me.
Yeah, I am. More than the others.
Well, thank you for your concern. I, I, I imagine you were doing everything in your power to make sure that I was safe.
Well, I always will.
Thank you. He reaches his hand over and finds where your knee is, and he just gently rests his hand on your knee, gives it a little bit of a squeeze.
I put my hand over his.
He with the shock of feeling your hand on his hand, he recoils just a little bit, but then relaxes, and with his other hand takes another big swig of the whiskey. What am I gonna say? Ellie, make a quick perception check.
Okay. No. It's not good. 10.
A 10. You are still very enamored with the whole Eigner situation, and you don't necessarily pick up on anything else.
That sounds about right.
Sounds about right. So, is there anything going on inside Eigner's house?
Yeah, actually, while this is happening, Leah has turned to Eridu and whoever else is there and has said, what part of history have I been missing? This situation that we saw, when did that can't have occurred that long ago? What has been the results from it? Where did it happen? What's the context?
I will not say that I am one for political matters, but it seems that there's been mounting tension from the Free Kingdoms and the Dwarven Empire. And what we saw seemed to be a band of zealots who took it upon themselves to mistreat uh, people for their own. There's a lot of the political picture we don't have from Eigner's past. But what can be said for certain is the dwarves are on the offensive. They are stepping into waging war. They've taken Twin Harbors and seem to be looking to do more. At least that is what I've come to put together.
Do you know what became of the whoever was left after what happened?
I don't. That would be a question for Eigner. He would have a much better idea of what was happening in history at that time. In those days, I was still traveling with Senna.
Then at some point I will ask him. Unless I can find someone else who has historical knowledge. He doesn't look at Hillowfax.
Well,
Hillo-
Drew says, this one here is a library on an elevated library. The Hill of Facts. You will have all the information you need.
Hillowfax pointedly looks around and has this very awkward look on his face and mumbles something about, I'm sorry, I could be able to provide some guidance in a minute. I am currently preparing my spells. And then he starts to mumble some magic words and starts to practice some somatic components and looking very intently at his spellbook.
As helpful as I expected, she mutters under her breath. I don't know if he can hear that, but she's muttering.
Fair.
Yeah, so then she'll say to Eridu, I intend to speak to not to Hillowfax. Definitely not to Hillowfax. I intend
Never to Hillowfax.
Never to Hillowfax again. Oh yeah, she now has a vague memory of vomiting on his shoes, so.
And my feet.
You know, whatever, you're her brother, that doesn't matter as much.
This is true.
She did apologize. I intend to speak to her and tell him a little about my past. And I don't know if there's something that I can offer him, but it's something that I think about a lot. If you want to be there for it, you can. I just wanted to let you know.
I think that it is probably best for me to allow people to have their time to talk with Eigner alone. I don't know that I should be as connected to everything as I have been. I feel like my own decisions haven't been the best.
You're not wrong.
I mean, taking a bomb to Feylord and then absorbing that Feylord and the bomb.
Yep.
Maybe you're playing with fire there, buddy.
Just a little.
I need to speak with Hillowfax too, or with Eigner too, but I think I'll settle for catching up with Hillowfax here. It's been a while, and He seems to have a lot to say.
So much to say. Actually, speaking of Hillowfax, Hillowfax has put away his spellbook for the moment, and he's decided to make himself a little bit useful. And he's gone over to the window, which is like kind of facing the side of that faces Twin Harbor. And outside of the window, you can see Eigner and Ellie out there just having their little moment. And Hillowfax is just casting, some simple little cantrips to help mend the broken window. He's like the shards of the glass start growing together once again. Cutting down on the draft that's coming into the room, and then looking very intent on the work that he's doing on the window. Once it's healed up, he mutters something under his breath and says, "What in God's name is happening out there?" And then, without another word, Hillowfax rushes to the door to go outside.
Okay.
Does anyone follow him to see what he was talking about?
Mm-hmm. Without trying to look like I'm following him, but like I'm gonna like kind of just peer around the corner,
Okay. All right.
see what he's doing.
Are Rue or Eridu going outside at all, or
So has Leah left the building, peering around the corner?
I don't. No, she's just poking her head out to see,
Okay.
and then
Eridu stands up and begins to follow her, and then Rue puts a metal hand on his shoulder and whispers to him. Rue whisper. I do not believe that I have the capacity to punch the magic you are carrying out of you. But I want you to understand that I will be keeping an eye on you. You seem to be someone who is capable of putting my dear friends in grave danger. And Eridu just looks at him and then turns and walks after Leah. Rue follows Eridu.
All right. So for the folks who are going outside, you walk out a bit following Hillowfax. Hillowfax is rushing to where Ellie and Eigner are, and the both of them hear Hillowfax approaching, and they kind of take stock of what's happening there, and then Hillowfax just wordlessly points off into the distance, past their heads. And then Eigner whips his head around, but obviously can't see anything. Ellie whips her head around, obviously can see what's going on. Everyone back behind follows where Hillowfax is pointing, and he's pointing off toward Twin Harbor. And right above Twin Harbor, above the closest, there's the two sides of the city. On the side of the city that is closest to you, on this side of the river, there is this strange, I would almost call it almost like when you see a tornado forming and there's that funnel of air that funnels down like that, but it's the same kind of multicolored energetic wind that you had experienced in the Feywild. A little piece of the Feywild spiraling and marking out this spot in the center of that side of the city. And the ribbon of air is twisting. And before you know it, there is a great eruption from the ground in the city. And at an impossibly fast speed, an enormous tree grows it's the same tree that you fought Ticks in front of which you fought Ticks. The tree's roots start ripping their way through the buildings, leveling parts of the district. The roots wrap around themselves, looking like so many barky veins. The size of the tree seems comparable, if not larger, to the one you saw in the Feywild. And the creepiest thing is that from this distance, you hear no sound. You can't hear the sound of the buildings crumbling, and surely the few inhabitants of that side of the city screaming. You hear nothing. All you do is see the tree take over, take root, and grow and grow and grow, following the ribbon of wind. And I think that might be where we're going to end this session.
I do one
and
thing.
this episode. Sure, yeah.
Just can I wordlessly, because Ellie's usually the one to like describe everything to Eigner, and this is like beyond description. Can I cast Arcane Eye on him so he can see this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then if he turns around, he will also see Eridu all messed up. I'll just point that.
Sure. No, I mean what he's seeing in front of him is going to be plenty to look at. He'll, you kind of get him with it without really telling him that that's going to happen. So he feels it coming on. The light is coming into his eyes, and then all of a sudden everything takes shape. And then the first thing he sees is this enormous tree destroying an entire district of the city and growing into the air, and keeps growing and keeps growing.
And I will say Eridu, when this is happening, has probably made his way up in his standing and comes and like stands next to Eigner.
For sure.
So that way, as this is going and he appears, Eigner can get a look at him.
For sure. Eigner will stare in the distance at the tree overtaking Twin Harbor, and he'll just say, "Fuck." And then out of the corner of his eye, he'll see in his periph, he'll see Eridu, and then he'll look over and get this weird face, and he'll say, "Fuck."
Then Rue will step up next to Eridu and say, "Fuck," and go into a rage. Because why not?
And at that, we're going to close the session, and we are going to end this episode. What a wild, wild ride it's been. Thanks for watching. As always, we appreciate you very much. And I believe it's going to be Ace's turn next.
Yeah.
Title of the next episode to be announced. Join us some other time, perhaps next week, and we will keep this thing going. Thanks, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.